going to repeat one more time. Today, packet, you need to be on December 2nd through the 3rd. You're doing the ones labeled 12-2 up at the top. So you have cursive H's, both uppercase and lowercase. Cursive I's, uppercase and lowercase. You have cursive J, uppercase and lowercase. And then you have sentence types. This is on It's Learning. It's called Christmas Traditions. Or maybe not. Maybe it's not called that. It is called Types of Sentences Printed. So you have cursive, you have Rockefeller Tree, you have types of sentences. That's what we're currently on. Someone needs to make sure they are muted. Jonathan, mute yourself, please. You are not doing compound complex. Okay, so today, here in a moment, we're going to watch a video about types of sentences. You have simple sentence, complex sentence, and compound sentence that you're going to write about family traditions. That's what the instructions say, okay? So we're going to watch that video real quick, and then we will look at our next task, okay? So let's pull that up. We have watched this video before, but it's a great review, okay? So make sure that you are following along, please. So reminder, they are talking about different sentences. A sentence has a complete thought. So this one, I went swimming today, it's a sentence because it has a whole thought. Not a sentence because these are not whole thoughts. Went swimming today. That's not a whole thought. And I went is not a whole thought. But when you put I went swimming today, that is a whole thought, okay? So a simple sentence, we're about to see an example, contains only one independent clause. So one whole thought, no more than one whole thought, okay? So their example here is I went to the park. That's one complete thought. No other thoughts involved except for that one. And so that is a simple sentence, okay? So now a compound sentence contains two independent clauses or ideas. So two independent thoughts that if I separated them, they would be two complete sentences. Okay, so we'll look at the example here in a moment, and it's usually connected with a conjunction. So and, but, so, or, no, nor, because, all of those words. Okay, so their example here, I went to the park and I saw a dog. If I take out the word and I make these two complete sentences by putting a period at the end of park, I would have, I went to the park, I saw a dog. That's two complete sentences. So when I put them together with the word and, that becomes a compound sentence, okay? Okay, this one, a complex sentence contains at least one independent clause and one dependent clause. So that means one complete sentence that can stand on its own, and then it has a sentence that's not a sentence. It's just a couple extra words to give extra information, but it cannot be a sentence on its own. So we're going to look at that example. Okay, so their example, I went to the park running all the way. I went to the park is my independent clause, or my clause that can be a sentence by itself. Running all the way is not a complete sentence, okay? If I notice there's no conjunction in my complex sentence. So in a complex sentence, you have one complete sentence, and then you have extra information that tags onto the complete sentence. So I went to the park running all the way. I can just have I went to the park. The running all the way part is attached to my complete sentence to give more information, but it cannot stand on its own. Okay, so here they define what a dependent clause is, and that is a dependent clause is one that cannot be a sentence on its own. So the example running all the way cannot be a sentence on its own, so that's a dependent clause, okay? Okay, so their example of a dependent clause is but couldn't fly. That doesn't make sense on its own. That isn't a sentence on its own. We don't know what couldn't fly. We don't know anything. So we need a complete sentence to add to it to make it a complex sentence. Okay, so then they added the bird flapped its wings. That can be a complete sentence completely on its own. So that is an independent clause. It does not need help. The dependent clause, but couldn't fly, needs help. So if I put these together, I can make a complete complex sentence. The birds flapped its wings, but couldn't fly. That makes sense altogether. Okay, so if I exit out of this, when I go back to this one right here that we were working on, Christmas traditions, when I write a simple sentence, that's a sentence that can stand on its own. Compound sentence, two sentences that can stand on its own with a conjunction. Complex, that's one complete sentence and a little extra that can't stand on its own put together, okay? Then you also have another types of sentence one, but this one you've practiced before. It says give each sentence the correct ending mark, then label each sentence S for statement, Q for question, C for command, or E for exclamatory. So what we're going to do is we're going to watch another video, this time a brain pop video, about those sentences. We've done this before, so this is also review for you.
Come on, Moby, we're late. I am not ordering you around. Fine. Moby, will you please come with me? We are late. Dear Tim and Moby, I need to know about the 4 different kinds of sentences. From Jessica. We use different types of sentences for different purposes. A declarative sentence makes a statement. You are stepping on my foot. Declarative sentences always end with a period. An interrogative sentence asks a question. Did you remember to make lunch? Good. Interrogative sentences end with a question mark. An imperative sentence is used when you give a command or make a request. Put your seatbelt on. Imperative sentences usually end with a period, but they can also end with an exclamation point, depending on the force of the command. Put your seatbelt on. An exclamatory sentence is used when you want to express a strong feeling like anger, joy, or surprise. It's a flying saucer. It was there a second ago. Anyway, exclamatory sentences always end with an exclamation point. I smell something funny. What's that smell? Tell me what that smell is. That's disgusting.
Okay. So that is types of sentences, and you've practiced that before. So when we do this activity here, instead of it saying imperative, exclamatory, interrogative, or those words, it's going to have the simple ones for you to remember, for you to go through. But before I move on, I want to do a practice with you really quick on simple, compound, and complex. That was the previous page, so we can make sure we know for sure what we're doing. So it says label each sentence in the paragraph either simple, compound, or complex. So here's an example. It says the little girl has 3 dogs. They said that is simple. A simple sentence has 1 complete thought. Okay? Compound sentence has 2 complete thoughts joined with a comma and a conjunction. Complex sentence has 1 complete thought plus a dependent clause. So we're going to go through and we're going to look at these. Okay? Skippy eats grass and he runs all around all day. So we're looking at this sentence right here. Skippy eats grass and he runs around all day. If I look, is it a simple sentence has 1 complete thought? No, it has more than 1 complete thought. Compound sentence, 2 complete thoughts joined with a comma and a conjunction. Yes, so this is actually a compound sentence. Okay. Then it says Skippy plays more than any of the other dogs because he has the most energy. Now we need to look here and see Skippy plays more than any other dogs. Is that a complete thought? Yes. Because he has the most energy. That's not necessarily a complete clause. This is a complex sentence because it is a dependent clause there. So this is complex. Now, I gave examples of each one. We're going to go over these together. So I'm going to be calling on friends. So I need you to pay attention. It says, Lazy Bone hates playing. Is that a simple, compound, or complex sentence? If you would like to answer, put an R in the chat for me. The letter R in the chat. Aria, go ahead. Also, Eric, we didn't need the extra numbers and all those things. So when someone asked you to stop, that was exactly what they were asking you to stop, okay? So, Aria, Lazy Bones hates playing. Is that a simple, compound, or complex sentence?
Simple.
Simple, good job. She sleeps in her bed and she relaxes in the sun. So we need to decide if that's simple, compound, or complex. If you would like to answer, put a G in the chat for me, please. Aiden Ash, go ahead.
Compound.
And how do you know it's compound? What gives it away?
Because of the comma and the and.
Good job. Compound. She loves to sit. Axel, what kind of sentence is that? Is that simple, compound, or complex? She loves to sit.
Simple.
Simple, thank you. She doesn't eat a lot because she doesn't have an appetite, or she doesn't have much of an appetite. Is this simple, compound, or complex? If you would like to answer, put a Z in the chat, please. Area.
Which one is it again?
She doesn't eat a lot because she doesn't have an appetite. Is that
Complex.
complex? She doesn't eat a lot. That is a complete thought. She doesn't have much of an appetite is not a complete thought. That's why it's complex, because they work together. Now, I noticed Carter Arp, did a question mark. We are practicing our simple, compound, and complex sentences that you are going to be writing on your own later today. We watched a video about it. We've talked about it. So what is your question so far? We're practicing it together.
I don't think I have that because I'm on.
Yeah, you don't have this worksheet, buddy. You don't have this worksheet. This is mine, just giving you examples on how to work with those sentences to help you, okay?
Do we do like uppercase K and lowercase K, like?
You shouldn't be working on anything right now. You should be following along with me, and then I can review what we're working on after we're done with this, okay? Okay, awesome. Rocky plays a lot. Is that a simple, compound, or complex sentence? If you would like to answer that, comment with an F in the chat. Axel, go ahead. Simple. He loves playing fetch and he enjoys going on walks. I'm going to finish this up for the sake of time. We see a comma and he loves playing fetch as a complete thought. He enjoys going on walks is also a complete thought. So this is a compound sentence. He is the youngest puppy since he is only 2 months old. This one here is complex because he is the youngest puppy is a complete thought. He is only 2 months old is not necessarily, since he is only 2 months old is not a complete thought. So this is a complex sentence. All of the dogs are nice to people. Simple sentence. That's one complete thought. Okay. So to review, let's go back to It's Learning. The things that you're working on today, you have a cursive printed pages that are labeled 12-2. You have a Rockefeller one. You have 2 articles to read and a yes ma'am to work on. Types of sentences, we just reviewed both of those before you are to work on your packet. Then the next thing, it says you have a family traditions printed page. For the family traditions printed page, that is this page here labeled 12-2 as well. You're going to answer some of these. These are about your own Christmas traditions and special things that you do at Christmas time that you're going to write in complete sentences. Then you also have a yes ma'am. Now we have to review this yes ma'am real quick before we move on. Now, anything labeled 12-3, you're not doing today. So K's would not be doing. So when you see this page, that means you've done all the printed pages for today. So Carter Art, that should have answered your question. Now we're going to review one more thing really quick. We're going to watch 2 videos. One is of the Carpenter's Gift. We're going to watch a segment of the story to help you with your yes ma'am. The other one is helping you understand the word in your yes ma'am. It says, what can we infer about how Henry's family felt when the workers showed up for Christmas? How do you know? This word right here, infer, you don't know what that means yet. So we're going to watch a video to help us understand what this word means, and then we're going to look at the Carpenter's Gift.
Making inferences. At Grammar Songs by Melissa. What is an inference? More importantly, how can learning to make inferences make me a better reader? Let's get started. An inference is a conclusion reached on the basis of evidence and reasoning. Good readers infer by using what they already know, prior knowledge, along with clues in the text evidence to form an idea. Did someone say clues? Yes, Detective Waddle. Looking for clues is very important when making inferences. Let me show you. We make inferences every day in real life without even realizing it when we use the clues around us to make sense of what is happening. Stanley must be hungry. He was probably speeding. That man is scared. Tony does not like sushi. In everyday life, people combine the clues they see with their prior knowledge. Stanley always cries when he's hungry to form an inference. Stanley is crying. He must be hungry. What inference could you make if you walked into this cafe, Detective Waddle? What clues do you see? I see party hats. I see presents. I see happy children. And I see a cake with candles. So, Detective Waddle, what inference would you make? Use the clues you see and your prior knowledge to form an idea. I know, she is having a birthday party. The clues are the hats, the presents, the friends, and the cake. My prior knowledge tells me that the birthday girl is the one who will blow out the candles. My idea or inference is that she is having a birthday party. Very good, Detective Waddle. I know how to look for clues and make inferences in real life, but how can I make inferences when I read? That is an excellent question, Detective Waddle. Let me show you. When you read, you need to use the same steps your brain automatically takes when you make an inference in real life. First, you must look for clues, but now the clues are found in the text as text evidence. Then you add what you already know, your prior knowledge, to the situation at hand. Finally, you put everything together to form an idea or make an inference. Let's read a short story and look for clues to make an inference. Shelton was getting hungry. He went to the kitchen where his mom was carefully putting long, thin noodles into a pot of boiling water. In another pot, she was putting red sauce. First, we need to look for clues in the text. What clues do you see? Well, Shelton was hungry. His mother put long, thin noodles in boiling water and heated a red sauce. Very interesting. Now we need to use what we already know, our prior knowledge. But how? Well, Shelton was hungry. When I'm hungry, I want to eat. His mother was putting long, thin noodles into boiling water. In another pot, there was red sauce, so she was cooking something for him to eat.
What do we think they're making? Comment with an S in the chat if you'd like to answer. What do you think they're making? Aiden, Ash?
Tomato soup.
With noodles?
Wait, hold on.
Noodles
Spaghetti.
and red sauce. Spaghetti. Aria, do you have a question? Go ahead, dear.
What day of morning work do we have?
That's not what we're worrying about right now. We're in the middle of a lesson to help you with your other work, okay?
Well, I got off the meet before you said that.
We didn't talk anything about morning work, okay? We're in the middle of talking about making inferences, okay?
Great idea. So now we just need to make an inference. We can form an idea based on the text evidence and our prior knowledge. I know. Spaghetti. Shelton's mother is making spaghetti. It all makes sense now. Very good. I was making spaghetti. Have some. Making inferences can be quite delicious. Let's read another short story. We will look for clues and use our prior knowledge to form an idea or make an inference. Bob came home from school one day. He happily opened the cookie jar. It was empty. He saw some crumbs leading to the living room. When he entered the room, his little sister Megan looked up at him and smiled. She had crumbs all over her face.
Who do we think ate all the cookies? If you would, Yazari, who do you think ate all the cookies?
What?
Who do you think ate all the cookies? In the story, Bob comes home from school one day happy, opens the cookie jar, it's empty. He saw some crumbs leading to the living room where he enters, and his little sister Megan looked up at him and smiled. She has crumbs all over her face. Who do you think ate the cookies? Megan, good job.
First, we need to look for clues in the text. Detective Waddle, what clues do you see? Well, the cookie jar was empty. There were crumbs leading to the living room. Megan looked at Bob and had crumbs on her face. Very good. Now we need to use what we already know, our prior knowledge. Detective Waddle? Well, when Bob came home and found the cookie jar empty, he was disappointed. I know I feel disappointed when things don't turn out the way I planned. I also know that Bob followed a trail of crumbs to the living room where his sister Megan had crumbs on her face. I know little kids make a mess when they eat something. My prior knowledge tells me that Megan was eating something. Very good. Now put your clues and prior knowledge together to form an idea or make an inference. I know! The cookie jar was empty because Megan ate all the cookies. It all makes sense. The empty jar, Megan's face, and the crumbs. Poor Bob. Bob! Megan! I'm baking some chocolate chip cookies. Hooray! Hooray! I infer we will eat cookies today. Hooray, Detective Waddle! You did a fantastic job learning to make inferences. Thank you for joining me at Grammar.
Okay, so we have come to find that inferences are drawing conclusions based on text evidence and what we already know. So we're going to real quick look at this again. It says, what can we infer? So what from text evidence and what we already know about how Henry's family felt when workers showed up upon Christmas? How do you know? Okay, so we're going to take a moment. We're going to watch a little chunk of The Carpenter's Gift from the story we listened to on Monday right here for us to look at it, okay?
The next morning, Henry's parents let him sleep late. In fact, it was well past 8 when the toot-toot of several car honks woke him. Rushing to the window, he saw 3 trucks pulling up outside. All were loaded with lumber and other building supplies. At the wheel of the first truck was Frank, and behind him were other Rockefeller Center workers. What were they doing so far from the city on Christmas morning? Frank got out of the truck.
Boys, we're in the middle of a story, not about anything else right now. You need to be paying attention to our Carpenter's Gift instead of asking about the stocking and other morning work right now. Okay? We will discuss that at the end of our lesson. You're missing out on things that you need for today. Please focus on what we're doing right now, okay?
You left. We were thinking, he said. There was all this extra wood lying around, and we had the day off, so we thought we'd drive up and see what we could do to help you with this house of yours. Frank looked the shack over, taking its patched walls and ill-fitting windows. I think we'll have to make a fresh start, he said. Henry's father didn't have words for the way he felt, so he simply took Frank's hand and shook it. The sound of sawing and hammering traveled far enough the Christmas morning for Henry's neighbors to wonder what was going on. A few walked over, saw the new house going up, and spread the word. By mid-afternoon, a dozen more people were pitching in. As the new house took shape, Frank called Henry over. See those boards, he said, pointing to the stack of cedar. We're going to use them to trim the windows, but they've got nails in them. I need you to pull the nails out. Henry moved to fetch the boards, but Frank called him back, digging into his toolbox. He handed Henry an old claw hammer. You'll be needing this, Frank said. By nightfall, the frame of the new house was nearly done. By week's end, it had a roof. Soon enough, it was ready for Henry and his family to move in.
Okay. So you need that story, that section of the story, to answer your yes, ma'am today. What can we infer about Henry's family, about how Henry's family felt when the workers showed up upon Christmas? How do you know? So you're going to have to use text evidence on what you already know about how someone would feel if someone came and built a house for them to write your yes, ma'am in yes, ma'am format. So that is on It's Learning. That is the last thing that you are doing on It's Learning. Now, a couple of things. I checked yesterday's work, I checked Monday's work. And so I'm about to show you the missing work page for Monday only. I did not check Tuesday's work because yesterday was Tuesday. I will be checking that this afternoon. I have a lot of friends that either did not do their work properly, they did it sloppy, or they did not do their work. So your name may be on this list. Okay, so if I go up to Monday, Great Depression, yes ma'am. These are my friends missing Great Depression, yes ma'am. Either they did really sloppy work and wrote only one sentence, or they did not do yes ma'am format, or they just did not turn it in, or wrote I don't know on the question, and that's not how we do yes ma'am. These here, we have Go Math assigned to us online. So I have friends that did not complete their Animated Math Models 13.1 and Mega Math Models 13.1. This document will not be posted till Friday morning. Okay, so I will check again this afternoon to see if some of my friends have turned these things in. If you are a friend that hasn't turned it in, try to find some time today and get on that get on the things that you're missing and finish those up for me, okay? Now, I'm sorry, I'm still giving instructions. I don't need to be interrupted, please. So, here in a moment, before I take questions, you are going to be working on the things assigned to you here. You're only doing the things labeled 12-2. Now, for my friends that are so concerned about morning work, if you look at the morning work packet under the camera here, if you look at the morning work packet, our next one is December 3rd. That is not today. Tomorrow, you would be working on December 3rd's morning work. Okay, so normally we just have 2 a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays, to answer that question. Okay? The only thing you're doing in your packet, this is to answer the one question that keeps coming up from one friend that just couldn't seem to pay attention in our reading lesson. If it's labeled 12-2, that's all you're doing today. Do not worry about the things labeled 12-3 or the one thing labeled 12-4. That's for the rest of this week, okay? Just 12-2. That's it for today, okay? Now, if you have a question, let me stop presenting really quick. If you have a question, I would like for you to comment in the chat with a question mark, please.